Hello, this is Mrs. Ryan here to share another story with you. Now, today's favorite story comes not from me, but from my dad, and this is one of the stories he read when he was a little boy. It is called The Five Little Raccoons. Now, could we count those raccoons together before we get started? All right, let's do it together. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5. So yes, indeed, there are 5 raccoons. But if you take a close look at these raccoons, oh my goodness, what do you think they are doing? Now, besides being about 5 little raccoons, do you have any guesses or any ideas what you think they're doing here? Would you like to find out by reading this story? Okay, let's get started. It is the 5 little raccoons. And then it says Gladys Buchanan. Gladys Buchanan is you're right, the author. And we know that author writes the story, author writes the story, author writes the story. That's why she came first. Then it says Clarence Beers. Who do you think Clarence Beers might be? Oh, you're right again, the illustrator. And we know that illustrators illustrate, illustrators illustrate, illustrators illustrate, which means he made the pictures. So let's enjoy this story called The 5 Little Raccoons. I wonder where they're headed off to. Now, one morning, the 5 little raccoons, Ibbity, Bibbity, Sibbity, Sap, and Nibs, jumped out of their 5 little beds and said, "Let's join the circus!" Oh, what an exciting idea! "We don't want to play in our sand pile," said Ibbity, Bibbity, and Sibbity. "Oh, we're tired of our sand pile," said Nibs. "We don't want to wade in our pool," said Ibbity, Bibbity, and Sibbity. "Oh, we're tired of our pool," said Nibs. "We don't want to slide down our slide," said Ibbity, Bibbity, and Sibbity. "We want to join the circus," said little Nibs. "What's a circus?" asked Sap. "Oh, don't you know?" cried all his brothers. Do you know what a circus is? Have you ever been to a circus? They laughed so hard that they could hardly comb the snarls out of their bushy tails. And they laughed so hard they could hardly eat their sweet corn and butter for breakfast. Don't you know what a circus is, you silly raccoon? And then they all started laughing again. Ah! Oh, you're so silly. Now, after breakfast, the 5 little raccoons sat on the cool front step of the lovely pink and white raccoon house Billy and Betty had built for them. "Well, Billy and Betty will be sorry if we run away," said Ibbity. "And Mama will be sad too," said Bibbity. "I don't know. Is it a very good idea to run away from home? I don't feel very good about that choice." "Maybe they won't have any sweet corn for breakfast at the circus," said Sibbity. "Gee, I'm scared to run away," said Sap, who is sometimes the brightest raccoon of the family. "Ah, you're a bunch of scaredies," said Nibs. Just then along came a circus parade down the shady country road. There were enormous elephants holding on to each other's tails, and fierce lions and tigers in red and gold cages, and beautiful women on proud white horses. What an exciting parade! Wow! There was Clarence the clown with a very red nose, and there was the ringmaster with a whip and a high silk hat. There were zebras and camels and ponies and dogs. In fact, there was everything under the sun in that parade except raccoons. The steam calliope played such pretty music, and Clarence the clown did such funny tricks, and the women bowed so gracefully, and the lions and the tigers roared so loudly. Can you roar like a lion or a tiger? Roar! And the ringmaster was such a tall, handsome man that the 5 little raccoons danced up and down and clapped their little paws. Can you clap your hands? Yay! Parade! Yay! Woo-hoo-hoo! Come on, said Bibbidi. Follow me. I know where there's a hole in our fence that Billy forgot to fix. Ibbidi crawled through the hole and fell onto the ground and went Ibbidi. It knocked all the breath out of the fat little fellow. Bibbidi crawled through the hole and fell to the ground and went Bibbidi. Sibbidi crawled through the hole and fell to the ground and went Sibbidi. And Sap crawled through the hole and fell to the ground and went plop. Oh my goodness. But Nibs crawled through the hole and climbed down like a bright little raccoon. He did not bump himself one bit. Then all the little raccoons ran after the parade as fast as their furry little legs could carry them. Ibbidi climbed onto the last wagon and put down a paw to help Bibbidi. Bibbidi climbed into the wagon and put down a paw to help Sibbidi. Sibbidi climbed into the wagon and put down a paw to help Sap. They are all helping each other climb in the wagon, one right after another. But Sap, who was silly for little raccoon, climbed into the wagon and forgot to put down a paw to help Nibs. So poor Nibs had to run for half a mile before he could get into the circus wagon. And maybe that was good enough for him, because Nibs was acting kind of like a naughty little raccoon. After a while, the ringmaster rode back to the last wagon, and there he saw the 5 little raccoons. Who are you? Asked the ringmaster, scowling. We're Ibbidi, Bibbidi, Sibbidi, Sap, and Nibs, said the 5 little raccoons, just about ready to cry. We ran away to join the circus. Well, you'll have to ride the ponies bareback. We'll try very hard, Mr. Circus Man, said Ibbidi, Bibbidi, and Sibbidi. Oh, I'm afraid I'll fall, said Sap. Aw, shucks, it's easy to ride ponies, said bold little Nibs. You'll have to walk the tight wire and throw balls to Clarence the Clown, said the ringmaster. We'll try very hard, Mr. Circus Man, said Ibbidi, Bibbidi, and Sibbidi. Oh, I'm afraid I'll fall off the tight wire, said poor little Sap. He began to cry. Don't cry, said Nibs, who wasn't really such a naughty little raccoon after all. I'd catch you if you fell, you little scaredy. Then Sap felt better. They were all eating peanuts and Cracker Jack and having a grand time when the circus reached the nearby town and the men put up the tents. After trying many times, the 5 little raccoons learned to ride ponies bareback. But every time they went around the curve, Sap fell off, and Nibs had to help him back onto the pony. The people clapped and clapped, but the 5 little raccoons were a little bit scared. Then they learned to walk the tight wire. But every time the wire wiggled, poor little Sap, started to fall. And Nibs, had to catch him by his tail. Oh, the people clapped and clapped and clapped. Look at those cute raccoons, they shouted. But the raccoons were a little bit scared. After trying many, many times, the 5 little raccoons learned to toss balls to Clarence the clown. Once Nib, boink, popped him right in his big red nose, and the clown chased the raccoons 6 times around the circus ring, right across the tight wire and up to the high trapeze. I think that was an accident, but I don't think Clarence was very happy. "Hang tight to my tail," cried Ibbity, taking a firm hold of the trapeze bar. So Bibbity hung on to Ibbity's tail, and Sibbity hung on to Bibbity's tail, and Sap hung on to Sibbity's tail, and Nibs hung on to the end. And they flew through the air with the greatest of ease, those daring young raccoons on the flying trapeze. The people roared and clapped and shouted. They had never seen raccoons do such tricks. But the little raccoons were very scared. They wanted to go home to their mama. I can't say that I blame them. Those are some very scary things they're doing. Just then, who should come into the big tent but Billy and Betty, the boy and girl from the farm where the raccoons lived. "Ah, look up there!" cried Billy. "Why, those are our little raccoons." "Oh, I am so glad they're found," cried Betty. "Come, Ibbity, Bibbity, Sibbity, Sap, and Nibs," called Billy, and the raccoons came running. They hung on to Billy and Betty for dear life, and they looked in Billy's pockets for sugar lumps. "We'll take you right home, you naughty little raccoons," said Billy and Betty. Just then, up stepped the scowling ringmaster. "Where are you going with my little raccoons?" he roared, and he cracked his big whip and twirled the ends of his mustache. "Well, they're our little raccoons," said Billy and Betty. Yes, we are, Mr. Circus Man," said Ibbity, Bibbity, Sibbity, Sap, and Nibs. "I'll give you $50 for them," said the ringmaster. "Oh, we wouldn't sell our little raccoons for $1,000,000, said Billy and Betty. They hurried out to their pony cart, and all the little raccoons climbed into the rumble seat. Then they drove back to the farm as fast as they could go. "We're going home!" shouted Ibbity, Bibbity, Sibbity, Sap, and Nibs. My, was Mama Raccoon glad to see her babies. First, she scolded them just a little bit, and then she fed them a delicious supper of sweet corn and butter, sweet corn and butter, and sweet corn and butter. And after supper, the 5 little raccoons sat on the cool front step of their pretty little pink and white house and looked at their lovely sand pile and pool and slide, and they decided never to run away from home again. The end of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 little raccoons. I hope you enjoyed our story today. See you soon. Bye-bye.